Hello, Will Thunder Talks here again with another video. I'm excited about this one because I get to talk about my favorite band, Queens of the Stone Age, fronted by absolute musical maverick Josh Homme, or Home, depending on how you say his name. We have this wonderful outfit that has gone through a few iterations. Troy has always been there, but gone through quite a few iterations. They are, you might call it a stoner rock band, an alt rock band from the early 2000s. Josh Homme has fronted a few legendary bands like Caius and Them Crooked Vultures and Eagles of Death Metal. He's been in some great bands, and I guess something that I wanted to talk about here is like how Queens of the Stone Age specifically stayed relevant. So I'm a big fan of the band, and I think that something really beautiful about Queens of the Stone Age is how they have evolved yet stayed consistent, which I think is something rare, in my opinion, compared to a lot of other bands where they might change significantly over their arc and tenure, or they might stay exactly the same. I think Queens of the Stone Age hits that real sweet spot. So we got the self-titled album. Some bangers on this album, if only. Real coming up from the Caius roots, right? Of this beautiful grungy, stonery, rocky album, fronting Josh as the lead vocalist, as he wasn't really in Caius, but he's kind of stepping more into the spotlight here, right? But the album after that, I'm going to quickly, self-titled's great, love the self-titled, but we all know Songs for the Deaf. That's their biggest album, right? That's the one with Josh Homme and Dave Grohl on the drums, and Nick Olivier, whatever his name is, on bass. This is the iconic Queens of Stone Age lineup, right? And this album came out in the early 2000s. Had No One Knows on it, had Go With The Flow on it, a couple of their absolute big bangers, and no shortage of bangers from those guys, in my opinion. They also had Songs for the Deaf, which is a really, really cool song. They also had First Giveth, The Sky's Falling. Personally, the first song I listened to for Queens of the Stone Age, which is The Sky's Falling. Do It Again, Gonna Leave You. This album doesn't miss. Probably one of the best rock albums of all time. One of the reasons they are absolute legends. But I guess, in my opinion, that was 2002, I think, when this album came out. So it was a long time ago. Now, if we zoom into the arcs of Queens of the Stone Age, and they have a hell of a discography. If we look at the whole discography, we've got very different vibes in each album. So we've got Songs to the Death that we touched on. We touched a little bit on the OG album, If Only, Regular John, You Would Know, How to Handle a Rope, all good songs, right? Great album. I think that's what put them on the absolute map. But then we've got Lullabies to Paralyze, a bit of a contentious album, 2005. Personally, love this album for very different reasons, and I think this is part of how Queens of the Stone Age has stayed very relevant. They've kept that dark mystery, that melody, Josh's falsetto kind of fluttering through in the melodies. But then you've got a few. I think what I really like about the balance of a Queens of the Stone Age album is there's some really poppy bangers that you love, like In My Head or Burn the Witch or Little Sister. Those are all kind of like singing along songs, especially Little Sister. Medication's a great song too. This lullaby, they have these fun little different like tunes. This lullaby's a fun little lullaby. They're just doing that, and I love that, right? But then we get Era Vulgaris, right? They turn up some of that kind of desert charm, Californian desert charm, and they mix things up a little bit in this album, and I think that's what keeps me coming back to Queens of the Stone Age, where we've got Make It With You, Threes and Sevens. To me, this feels like their real desert album. They return to the desert roots. Sick, sick, sick. I'm Designer. Into the Hollow. Beautiful songs that Hame and crew deliver with intensity, darkness, and a lovely hypnotizing melody. For me, Era Vulgaris is their foray into more the mysterious vibe, right? But I think there's such a huge difference between Era Vulgaris and Like Clockwork. Okay, so Like Clockwork came out 2013, banger of an album. In my opinion, their best album, because it does a few things the other albums didn't do, and this is how they stay relevant, in my opinion, right? This is a real concept album wrapped in dark bangers of deep feeling. And, you know, Josh at the time was going through some really rough personal stuff himself. I think he almost died when he was writing this album. But I think I love the imagery. They really went to town on this. The Horsemen of the Apocalypse references. And then they had a really awesome mix, again, of those kind of earworm songs like Fair Weather Friends and Smooth Sailing. Those songs stick in your ears. I Sat by the Ocean as well. All those are all bangers. And then they've got these darker songs. And I think what for me is really interesting about Queens of Stone Age is as their discography goes along, there becomes these starker differences between the really emotional songs and the really popular songs. And I think that's what I don't know if Josh does that intentionally, but that's how the albums feel like they're laid out, right? I look at Like Clockwork, and there are so many songs on this album that just made me think, absolute banger. But like The Vampire Time and Memories, that song's like an emotive epic. I would say it's like the dark, mysterious Bohemian Rhapsody or Paranoid Android or that tier of song for a band. I Appear Missing as well. Really, really cool, dark, emotive song. Really, really sick melodies in the chorus. The guitar line going over with the vocal line. And then Collapsia, a lovely little emotive song. I never lied to myself. It's such a cool song. And I think Hame's unique ability to weave in some mysterious lyrics that you always have to kind of read twice, I think is one of the things that really connects me to him. His double entendres, he's a double entendre machine. Adore this album, Like Clockwork, right? So you put that to Era Vulgaris, which came out in 2007. You put, Like Clockwork's got this like concept. This is an evolution. There's a building on top of the foundation of Hame's already iconic, masterful like playing style, right? And then we get Villains. So Villains is a bit of a different. It follows the same Queen's formula though. There's still songs that just don't want to leave your ear. I'm thinking The Way You Used to Do, Villain and Circumstances, Feet Don't Fail Me. Those, well, probably Feet Don't Fail Me and The Way You Used to Do. Those are the kinds of songs that are like your fun, bangers, your earworms, get your ear, and you have fun with them. Feet don't fail me now. Love it. But then you've got these other really emotive songs, and this balance is always struck, I think, in the Queen's albums. I think that's how they stay relevant. Same formula, but they always have a unique, dark energy in them. They always feel different. And each album has its own unique signature, right? And this album came out, 4 years after Like Clockwork. And it's a great album, right? The Evil Has Landed. It's a good song. Hideaway. That song touches my heart. I adore that song. And then we come to an album that came out 6 years after, In Times New Roman. And this is the one that I really wanted to land on with the context of how they're staying relevant. So, they are not missing on the bangers, right? They've got the bangers in there, right? You've got the bangers. I'd say Paper Machete is a banger. I would say Emotion Sickness is probably one of the main songs on the album. Straight Jacket Fitting. Paper Machete and Motion Sickness are like the two main ones, right? And it keeps this formula of a few earworms, a few emotive songs, a few atmospheric songs. Sicily, for example, is kind of one of the more atmospheric-y kind of songs. But really fun song on this album I want to point out that I think points to their constant evolution as a band is Time and Place. And Negative Space. Both of these songs hit probably more Negative Space. They've got this great dark kind of polyrhythm almost. I think it's in Negative Space. That allows them to create just more technically complicated music, still with the gritty, raw, dark, mysterious kind of energy underneath it. And I think this kind of formula is kind of mastered in a way that it never feels boring to listen to. And I think that's something really unique about Homestyle, is that he never is straight up with what he's doing, right? It's always enveloped in this dark, dense texture that's covered in metaphor and covered in a lot of negative, dark emotions, right? And all of it's smoothed over with a bit of suaveness, right? There's this beautiful charisma about Josh that makes his every move smooth, regardless of how dark the medication is, right? And I think I remember a quote from him a long time ago, because he's my favorite boy, if you can't recognize that. Queens of the Stone Age is the band that the dudes can rock out to and the chicks can love to, right? It's that balance of groove and listenability to kind of that dark edge. And I think the fact that they can stay true to that, we're talking 20 plus years later. If you want to count self-titled, we're verging on 30 years now, this band. And they still release something that feels odd and different, but so similar at the same time. I can't say that about many other modern rock bands at all. I can't say that about the Arctic Monkeys. I think I can't say that even about the Foo Fighters, if I'm honest. And I love the Foo Fighters, made a video about the Foo Fighters. I think Dave's a great live act, and I think Queens of the Stone Age they're the rock gods in terms of writing the most interesting music, and the style itself allows you to stay a lot in these boxes because they're so mysterious and ethereal anyway. And I think the albums have a really great balance. I think every single Queens of the Stone Age album has bangers and it has emotive, atmospheric songs, and it's a freaking awesome experience. Sit down and listen to one of these albums, any of them. I don't care which one it is. It could be the self-titled. I didn't even talk about R-rated. You can sit down and you can listen to any of these, and you're going to go on a journey. And I think that doesn't happen in such a visceral way. Like, some of these songs on every album, I can pick a song and it'll make me cry. I can pick a song and it'll make me yell. And I love that. I think that's what's so captivating about Queens of the Stone Age. I think that's how they stay relevant. I'm going to stop there. You've been wonderful. I've been Will. I clearly love this band a little too much. Do you relate? Do you have any thoughts or comments? Please put them down there. Shout at me, yell at me. Do what you want. But this band rocks. I love Queens of the Stone Age. They're rock and roll royalty. They ain't new, but they always feel fresh. Take care. Good luck, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.